The Farmfoods British Par 3 coverage is sponsored by the Farmfoods European Senior Masters.
Welcome to the world-renowned Cromwell course at Nailcoat Hall for another fantastic year of short-game golf action on Sky Sports from this historic tournament with your host, Len Goodman.
In 1933, a group of pros got together in Torquay at the Palace Hotel to compete for the British Par 3 title. They all chucked a couple of quid into the greenkeeper's wheelbarrow, winner take all. 84 years later, though, the tournament has arrived on the world stage and some of the best players ever to grace the sport of golf are here at Nailcoat Hall to compete for the Farmfoods British Par 3 title. Welcome to the 84th Farmfoods British Par 3 Championships here at Nailcoat Hall. It's another incredible field of golfers gathered here to compete for the title and a winner's cheque of €50,000. That's all from me. I'm off to watch the action, but here's Simon Golding to tell you what's coming up on the show.
Thanks, Len. Here we go then for another year of short game drama in what has to be one of the most inclusive golf tournaments on the planet, as the pros, whatever tour they play on, go head-to-head and side-by-side off the same tees for the truly world-class prize fund of €150,000. So let's get to this year's lineup. It really is an eclectic who's who of golfing talent on display here at Nailcoat Hall for this year's tournament. We've got 6 major winners, including Tony Jacklin's CBE. The 1969 Open and 1970 US Open champion is back for his 10th year as host of the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship.
I was invited, I think, the first time by champions to do it, and it went well, and it kept getting bigger and better, and we have fun, good entertainment, all around good time, and that's why people keep coming, I think.
4-time LPGA Major champion Dame Laura Davies makes her debut. Can the 45-time winner on the Ladies European Tour add the British Par 3 title to her illustrious golfing CV?
Yeah, I've been playing well recently, not setting the world on fire, but I feel like my game's pretty good. I'm starting to putt well, which is key, and obviously in something like this, you have to putt well.
1991 Masters champion Ian Woosnam OBE is back, and this year he also qualifies for the Super Seniors division. So could a history-making double be on the cards?
There's some great prize money, and it's great for the guys to earn a few pounds, and want to get that wheelbarrow full of money. That would be nice, but it's great fun, and I think there's a lot of it goes for charity as well, and I think that's very important.
One of Scotland's favourite golfing sons, 1999 Open champion Paul Lawrie OBE is back for a third crack at this title. And incidentally, he's here playing alongside his sons, Craig and Michael.
It's good, yeah, there's a lot of spectators, and it's clever that they've got it against the USPGA, because if you're not in that event, you're going to want to come and play for 50 grand first prize. It's a lot of money. So they get a good field because of it.
And making his second appearance, New Zealander Michael Campbell, who might have conquered the golfing world in 2005, winning the US Open and the HSBC World Match Play. But last year, the Cromwell course here at Nailcoat reduced him to a mere mortal.
Well, last year I came here for the first time, and everyone told me how tough it was. I'm thinking, it's only par 3s, but just ate me up, and that's why I'm coming back here, just to take revenge on the golf course, especially that 4th hole. Is one of the hardest par 3s I've ever played in my life. Forget the 70 at TPC at Sawgrass, the 4th hole is so much harder.
We've got 7 former British Par 3 champions in the field. Amongst them, Welshman Mark Mouland is back as defending champion and looking to add a third title to go with last year's record-breaking performance and his first victory back in 2008.
Last year was a freak, 10 under the first day. I don't think that'll ever be beaten ever again. It was just one of those days where everything went right, hold everything, and obviously end up winning for the second time, which is great. Nobody's ever done it.
2010 champion Richard O'Hanlon, who epitomises the truly inclusive nature of this tournament, as the club pro from Cornwall once again steps onto the course to try his luck alongside some of the superstars of world golf.
It was a bit different back then. 2010 first prize was £5,000. Second last year and that was 25, so 50,000 first prize. You try and put that to the back of your mind, but that is a lot of money now, and that's why the tour players are here now. So yeah, I think it would be the highlight of my career so far.
And joining Mark and Richard, one of those tour players, 2014 winner Eddie Pepperell, still flying high after his 16th place finish at this year's US Open. 1999 champion Carl Mason has always embraced the par 3 game and proves year on year that the senior tour players can still give their younger golfing rivals a run for their money in this format. Carl has dominated the Super Seniors division over the last 4 years, but Woozy could stand in the way of Mason making it 5 from 5. 12 nations are represented this year, proving that the Farmfoods British Par 3 has established itself as a global championship. The draw incidentally featuring our first ever women's overseas player, Australian Rebecca Artis. So there you have it, 6 major winners, over a dozen Ryder Cup and Solheim Cup players and multiple tour winners, alongside this year's 20 qualifiers to complete a field of 60 pros, going head-to-head across 2 days of dramatic short game competition for the title and the big money, right here on Sky Sports. It was a disappointing beginning to this year's British Par 3, with heavy rain delaying the start and reducing the tournament to 27 holes from 36. The weather couldn't dampen the spirits of another fantastic crowd though, but it was just once around the 9 holes at Nellcote Hall on day 1. The amateurs, all off single-figure handicaps, compete each year for the coveted Norma C. Hurd Silver Salver. TV celebrity dancer James Jordan returned as defending champion after sharing the trophy last year with Ricky Sturrock. In round 1, James set about defending his title in style, playing alongside great friend and golfing rival Westlife's Brian McFadden, James finishing at the top of the leaderboard on even par. But making it a two-way share of the lead in the amateur division, none other than Tony Jacklin's grandson, Sammy Jacklin, who produced a series of quality up and downs to also finish level par, joining James as co-leader. Confirmation then of how things stand in the Silver Salver competition, a two-way share of that lead. James Jordan looking to make it back-to-back wins, with third-generation Jacklin, Sammy looking to spoil James's party. But plenty of players will fancy their chances in what should be an exciting final round, playing alongside the pros tomorrow. Talking of the pros, like grandson, like grandfather, Tony Jacklin turned it on for the crowds in his 10th year as host here at the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship, rolling back the years to birdie the final hole and prove he's still got it in the Super Seniors division. And in the Pro-Am team competition, Tony's playing partner, event sponsor Eric Hurd, also contributed to their share of 4th place on the leaderboard with a couple of birdies. Tony, though, one of the true British golf legends, enjoying his opening round on the 30th anniversary this year of that incredible Ryder Cup victory at Muirfield Village, Ohio in 1987, when Europe retained the trophy, beating the USA 15 points to 13. Great memories. And to complete the trilogy, like father, like son, the quality of golf in round 1 from the pros was simply stunning. Warren Jacklin, one of several who got close to an ace in round 1 with this tee shot at 8. Ryder Cup star Constantino Rocca did it last year, and this year the first player to make an ace was American Tim Thielen. The Champions Tour player holing out at the second, much to the delight of his playing partners and the gallery. Adam Phillips spoke to Tim after his round.
Second hole, hole in one. Tell us all about it.
Just bogey number 1 and got up there and had a pretty good yardage, and I saw 2 people in front of me start the ball at the hole and the wind took it left, so I started mine right and it hit past the flag and waited for probably 15 seconds and then finally went in. So yeah, it was great.
Charlie Hull grew up playing golf on the Cromwell course, but Solheim Cup commitments meant she couldn't be part of this year's tournament. However, some of Charlie's role models completed the strongest female lineup ever here at Nellcote Hall. 8-time European Solheim Cup player Trish Johnson made a stylish debut. Trish's Pro-Am partner, incidentally, was former England striker Peter With, who scored that winning goal for Aston Villa against Bayern Munich in the 1982 European Cup. Peter proving he can still finish. With only 9 holes being played on day one, it was no surprise to see a congested leaderboard in the pro event. Annabelle Dimmock started this year's competition strongly, one of 14 players sharing 15th place on +1 at the end of the first round. The Ladies European Tour play a part of that strong contingent, looking to become the first female winner in the history of the British Par 3. Scotland's Carly Booth was also back for another shot at the title, the 2-time winner on the Ladies European Tour, joining this eclectic field of major champions, European Tour winners, senior tour stars and pro qualifiers, all competing side by side at Nalcote Hall. It's pretty much a dream tournament lineup for course owner and Farmfoods British Par 3 chairman Rick Cressman.
We've worked hard at it to be an inclusive event for a long time, but I think now we're really entitled to lay claim to being the most inclusive golf tournament in the world, with the fantastic cross-section of professional players that we've got, all playing from the same position, no advantageous tee positions. Everyone has got a chance here, and I think that is something that makes it an utterly unique tournament in the whole world of golf. Short game is absolutely vital, and we've all heard the comment from pros for many years of drive for show and putt for dough, and I kind of like the advanced version of that. You go around a par 3 course like this and you can practice the skills that pay the bills.
Some of the game's legends were still trying to come to terms with the course in round one, bowing their heads to the golfing gods in hope of some short game salvation. 2005 US Open champion Michael Campbell did far better than in 2016, but the Cromwell course still got the better of New Zealand's golfing superstar. Michael was playing alongside Sweden's first ever British Par 3 entrant, 5-time winner on the European Tour, Jarmo Sandlin. Both men will be joining us later in the show for our pro's eye view of the course. Jarmo, as usual, unable to resist a bit of fun at our expense.
I'm in love. I'm in love with the camera.
And we love you too, Jarmo. That's all for part one, but join us after the break for more action from the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship, right here on Sky Sports.
Farmfoods British Par 3 coverage is sponsored by the Farmfoods European Senior Masters.
Welcome back to Nalcote Hall in Warwickshire for the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championships, as a diverse field of pros battle it out for the title and the winner's cheque for €50,000. With a weather-affected first round, the pro leaderboard was looking predictably congested. 14 players tied for 15th place on 1 over, and another 10 players on even par shared 5th place. The sense of girl power this year, though, was stronger than ever, led by one of the original trailblazers, Dame Laura Davies. A birdie at the first, a great start to her British Par 3 debut. Another star of the women's game, Amy Bolden, joined Dame Laura for a share of 5th on even par, as did debutante Australian Rebecca Artis, the first ever female overseas player to compete in the British Par 3, and at the 7th, Rebecca made it look like she was a regular at Nalcote. And completing the impressive women's challenge, Megan McLaren, with dad David on the bag, looked very good on her tournament debut. This tee shot at the first may be a taste of things to come in the final round, accompanied by a steely look of determination to become the first ever female winner of this title. Spanish European Tour star Santiago Luna was Mr. Pro-Am, playing some delightful golf for even par in the clubhouse, while also focusing on himself and amateur teammate Martin Reed as they took a 3-way share of the lead in the team event, much to Santi's delight. Told you so. Well played, gents. And defending champion Welshman Mark Mouland wasn't able to recapture his record-breaking 10 under par in last year's opening round, but he came in on even par with that dream of a third Farmfoods British Par 3 title still very much alive. Day one, though, belonged to the 4 players that went under par in the first round. Former Leicestershire and Rutland County player Ashley Mason is still relatively new to the professional ranks and currently plies his trade on the Euro Pro Tour. Having come through the qualifiers for this year's event, Ashley was determined to make the most of his opportunity, and cheered on by mum, dad, sister and girlfriend, Team Mason was looking in pretty good shape. That birdie at 2 was cancelled out with a bogey at 6, but another birdie at 8 took Ashley around the Cromwell in 26 shots to finish 1 under par in 4th place. Irishman Mark Murphy is never anything less than great value both on and off the course, and the big break winner from Waterville, County Kerry, now based stateside in New Orleans, jazzed up his first round to entertain the galleries and move into a share of second place on 2 under. A birdie at 3 was immediately handed back at 4, but then Mark had this for another birdie at 5. And the first of several high fives from playing partner and fellow Irishman Des Smith. The pressure was on at 8 when Mark needed to save his par with an up and down from the sand. He made it, collected the obligatory Des Smith high five, and then revealed his true thoughts about that putt to the camera. Classic Murphy. Last group out on day 1, and with the Cromwell course bathed in some opulent early evening sunshine, the crowd stayed on to support and Mark was only too happy to deliver the finishing touch. A fantastic birdie at 9, complete with Des Smith's seal of approval, obviously, to move to his final score of 2 under and a share of second with none other than Ian Woosnam OBE. The draw of the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship is comprehensive, and Europe's Ryder Cup winning player and captain couldn't resist a third crack at this title. From Augusta to Nailcoat, the 1991 Masters champion set about compiling a score on the Cromwell with 2 birdies at 2 and 5, then a backward step at 6 before nearly acing 7. And getting one member of the crowd far too excited. Take a bow, Woosie, tied second place on the leaderboard and 3 shots clear of Carl Mason in the race for the Super Seniors title. It was a fairy tale story unfolding at the top of the leaderboard though. Richard O'Hanlon may have already won this tournament back in 2010, but he started life as a pro in 1988, repairing clubs for the likes of Ian Woosnam and Sandy Lyle. It was a battling round from the man based at St Kew in Wadebridge, Cornwall. This shot at the third, the first of 3 birdies on a blemish-free card. A slam dunk to start his move to 3 under and the overall lead on day 1. Well worth another look. One thing's for certain, it's going to be a bun fight at Nailcoat to claim this year's title and that winner's cheque for €50,000. Confirmation then of the round 1 leaderboard. Richard O'Hanlon leads, but just 4 shots separate the top 29 players on a course where things can change very quickly indeed. He'll have major winners, Ryder Cup and Solheim Cup players, and a whole host of Tour pros chasing him in the final round. Also, there's another 11 players on 2 over in 30th. And don't forget, last year Mark Mouland shot an incredible 10 under in very similar conditions. This is still a wide open tournament. That evening at the Players' Banquet hosted by Dominic Holland, more money was raised for the Rainbow's Hospice for Children and Young People, and Tony Jacklin chaired an exclusive Q&A with 2 very special guests.
The most difficult par 3 course I've ever played.
Dame Laura Davies and Paul Lawrie, fantastic sports. An evening to remember ahead of a final round at the British Par 3 that one pro is never going to forget. Time then for that final round of the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship in near perfect conditions. And a few of the contenders were already making some early moves. Megan McLaren got off to a flyer at the 116-yard first with this superb tee shot, which she followed with an ominously good putt. Ominous, that is, for the rest of the field, as Megan moved to 1 under the card and just 2 shots off the O'Hanlon lead. Defending champion Mark Mouland was also looking to get off to a birdie start and took this outside chance in some style. 1 under for Mouland as he moves into a tie for 4th place. The penultimate group contained 24-year-old Euro Pro Tour star Englishman Ashley Mason playing for the prize of a lifetime, alongside Irishman Mark Murphy. Both players hungry for this title, and both players peppering the flag with their opening tee shots. Adam Phillips spoke to Ashley and Mark before their final round.
Man, I've always wanted to put my name on this trophy. First year I came here, I finished 2nd. I thought, I'm going to make a fortune out of this tournament. I haven't even been seen since after my 2nd. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to playing, and like I said, Woosie and Rich are good around here, so I'm going to have to play solid again.
The field's good, but I'm quite comfortable with my wedge play at the minute. If I can hold a few nice putts, and you just never know. You try not to think of the money, but at the end of the day, when there's a $50,000 first prize, it's very difficult not to.
So, keeping the cash very much to the back of his mind, Ashley set about compiling a winning score. with a deadweight putt at the first, moving to 2 under and a share of second place with playing partner Mark Murphy, leaving the Irishman then to follow the script by draining this putt to move to a share of the lead. It didn't happen though, hopefully not an omen for Mark. Last group out then, tournament leader Richard O'Hanlon and former world number 1 Ian Woosnam OBE, bidding to become the first player to win both the Farmfoods British Par 3 and Super Seniors titles.
What would it mean if you managed to win both?
That'd be great, wasn't it? I never, obviously they told me I was a super senior yesterday. That was a bonus ball before I started, and and to play like I did yesterday, where I haven't been playing that well, it's put me in a good place for today. See if I can keep it going.
And what's the plan for today's round?
Just try and hit greens. I mean, obviously I've got one shot lead, but I think there's a score out there. Weather's great today. Pins are a little bit more accessible. No wind today. It's 3-4 miles an hour. Awful lot easier for distance control. So that makes it a bit easier around here. But I would never say this place is easy. It's always a challenge.
So the scene is set for the final round of this year's Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship, and as the crowd waits for the leaders to get their challenge underway, let's get to our first pro's eye view of the Cromwell course. Here's Paul Laurie OBE with his take on the first.
First hole's called the Warren. It's quite a tricky start. It's a long, thin green with a bunker on the right and a little bunker on the left, and quite a steep slope back left. So quite hard to get on the green because it's so thin. It's a little 3/4 wedge for an old boy like me. But like every hole around here, it's frustrating, but it's great fun.
Ian Woosnam OBE, bit of frustration for him into the sand with a slightly bold tee shot at the first, but that's a nice recovery. And for Megan McLaren, chance to go birdie here and 2 under at the start of her round. No. Well, the crowd reaction will tell you that as far as they were concerned, they thought she had that. But instead, it's birdie par for Megan, and she stays at 1 under, heading to the third. This then for a tidy up and down from the Welsh Wizard to stay at 2 under par. And he remains the leader in the Super Seniors competition and second for the overall title. And the man he's chasing is his playing partner, Richard O'Hanlon, 2010 champion, 3 under at the start of the day. And 3 under heading to the second. More action from the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship after the break.
Farmfoods British Par 3 coverage is sponsored by the Farmfoods European Senior Masters.
Welcome back to Nellcote Hall in Warwickshire for continued coverage from the final round of the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship. The main contenders are all out on the course, and it's time for another pro's eye view of the Cromwell. Here's Dame Laura Davies with her take on the second.
You've got to pitch this one past the pin and try and spin it back at the hole, but not overdo it, because obviously there's a water hazard and a bunker at the front, which you don't really need to be messing with. So if you're between clubs, take the extra one. You've got to try and take spin off, just a 3/4 shot. Just don't try and hit anything full, because you will spin it.
Hole 2 for our final group. Richard Hanlon, tournament leader, watches on, still at 3 under, as Ian Woosnam tries to get his clubbing right here at the second. Oh, and that is big. That has actually hit the microphone on the camera at the back of the green, and it's bounced in under the rhododendrons at the back of this green. And O'Hanlon will have to be careful here. Nice strike though from the championship leader, and that's going to work out quite beautifully. Great shot from Richard O'Hanlon. There's a multinational feel at the British Par 3 these days. Switzerland's Andre Bossert at 8. He's gone on a birdie run. Picked up a 2 at 5 and 6. This is tee shot at 8 a little earlier in the day. And that left him with a birdie chance, which I can tell you he took to go to 2 under. There we go, a Masters visor watching on to see how a former Masters champion deals with this situation. A bit of a predicament for Mr. Woosnam at 2, but he is lucky. He can get to the ball in amongst the rhododendrons, and he's just going to try and punch this into the grass at the back of the green. Very nicely played. That's an exceptional shot from Ian Woosnam, and if he can hold that, that will be up and down of the tournament, I think. Now, don't count our 2014 champion out of the running just yet. Eddie Pepperell looking solid in this final round. And birdie at 8 moves him to 2 under the card. And the young Englishman looking like he's going to post a clubhouse score here. Here's the man, though, with the target on his back in this final round. Tournament leader Richard O'Hanlon looking to go to 4 under. Oh, yes, indeed. And that is a very handy 2-shot cushion over his nearest challengers. And a little fist pump with ever-present caddy Harvey. Ian Woosnam trying to avert a 2-shot swing here. And it didn't come back for him. Well, such a great shot from the bushes, but it is a bogey for Ian Woosnam at the second, and he drops back to 1 under. Well, he and Richard O'Hanlon heading off to the 3rd, and here's Woosy's take on the hole that was named after him.
I came here a couple of years ago and they named the hole after me. I wonder why. There's a little pond in front, little downhiller, about 135 yards or something, and yeah, if you come up short, you can go in the water. If you hit it too far, you can go over the green, and if you go over the green, you can obviously chip it back into the water, so a tricky little devil.
Very tricky indeed, but Ian Woosnam needs a decent tee shot just to settle himself down here. Hasn't hit a green yet. He's hit a microphone, but that doesn't count. And heart of the green from Woozy. Good stuff from him. I can tell you he and Richard O'Hanlon went on to par the hole. And here's the man Woozy is battling with for the Super Seniors title, the defending champion, Carl Mason. Well, he started the day on +1. It's been a topsy-turvy round, 3 birdies, 3 bogeys, and he's back where he started, with one hand still on the trophy, it would seem. Right, here's Solheim Cup legend Trish Johnson at the 4th.
After the first 3, it's kind of a real birdie chance because it's only 95 yards long. However, you cannot go big under any circumstances, and there's a ledge at the back where they tend to put the flag. With the wetness of the greens, you can't really hit it in low and get it to go up the bank, so you're probably 15 foot short. The flag is the best you can look for on that hole, but as I say, you cannot go big. That's dead.
Shrimps Isle, named after Alison Nicholas, MBE, Great Britain's first ever ladies major winner. Now Ashley Mason going along nicely, birdie at the 1st for Ashley to move to 2 under. And that's one of the shots of the day into the 4th green for another birdie chance. What an experience for teenage amateur Jacob Jones, qualified by right to play in this tournament and now walking shoulder to shoulder with some of the greats of the game and finishing his challenge in the Amateur Championship in 6th place. What a great result for him. And proof that if you dream of playing here, you can do it. Ryder Cup star, winner on the European Tour, Jamie Donaldson has made a very welcome return to the par 3 this year, but what a day so far for him. A hole-in-one at 3, some birdies and a double bogey at 9. It's been entertaining to say the least from Jamie, playing alongside Sky Sports' Alan McAnally. Right, time for another Pro's Eye View. Here's Amy Bolden at the 5th.
It's a tough little hole considering the yardage. I'm hitting, it's a bit in between clubs for me. It's either a 50 degree, which I've got to hit quite hard, or a soft wedge. And I'm preferring to hit the soft wedge to try and pitch it middle of the green and get it to run. Otherwise, when you pitch it at the pin, it just spins back. But yeah, you don't want to be long of the green. There's 2 tough bunkers at the back. So I'd just say playing for that front edge is a good putt uphill.
Now, a bit like Jamie Donaldson, I can't believe this man won't win this title at some point in his career. Another European Tour star, Lee Slattery. And Slats loves to attack these pins. Oh, he's done it again. Not the hole-in-one that he was so clearly after, but I can tell you he tapped in for the birdie to go back to 2 over. Ashley Mason at 4 after that superb tee shot. This to go to 3 under. And just like the first, another deadweight birdie for Ashley Mason. He goes to 3 under, 1 shot off the lead. Time then for a final round update, and there have been a couple of decent moves over the last 18 from Gary Wolstenholme MBE in particular. The senior tour player making 5 birdies and just 1 bogey to head into the clubhouse as the early leader in the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship. Another good challenge from major winner and Ryder Cup player Paul Lawrie, who finished his day on 1 under, but it was his son Michael that stole the headlines. Proud dad Paul watched on as Michael finished at 5 over in the amateur tournament to claim the Norma Seaherd Silver Salver for 2017. Confirmation of that result in the amateur division, the single-figure handicappers' gross scores comprising the final result, with Michael just edging out defending champions James Jordan and Ricky Sturrock, plus Sammy Jacklin and Andrew Thurkill to claim the coveted silver salver. Congratulations to Michael. Back to the pros now, where birdies at 8, 13, 14 and 15 put Stephen Tiley in a great position at 2 under, heading to the 18th tee. And at the 7th tee, Megan McLaren still looking for another birdie after draining that putt at the first. But before she takes her tee shot, let's get to Michael Campbell for his take on Nowcote Falls.
I think the 7th hole is probably the toughest hole on this golf course. It's, I think, the second longest hole, apart from the last. What makes it really, really tough is it's got water in the front, water at the back, and a severe tear in between. So you can... Today probably about a 9-iron or a wedge in your hand, but what's really difficult is the tear, and so judging your putt on there is very, very hard, and it's one of the toughest definitely out here.
So a daunting tee shot for Megan McLaren, back to even par where she started the day after a frustrating bogey at 3. 133 yards then to this pin cut on the bottom tier for this final round, and that is just stunning from McLaren. Another birdie chance then. And talking of birdie chances, back to the golfer from the Gold Coast, Rebecca Artis, our first overseas female player at the British Par 3, and the Australian rolling that one in. Hasn't quite been her day today, but still looking very positive as she comes towards the end of her round. Back to McLaren. A second birdie, plenty of holes left. Can Megan McLaren mount a challenge in this final round? Now, he was in second place on 3 under, but 2 drop shots for Richard O'Hanlon at 5 and 7 mean Ashley Mason is now the championship leader and looking to consolidate his position. And that won't do him any harm at all. Another birdie chance. We always get drama at the final hole here at Nowcote Hall, hence the big crowd gathered around the back of the 9th. And here's Mark Mooland to tell us more.
9th hole, Mooley's Bridge, 146 yards. It was named after me, actually. Hardest hole on the course, I would say. Probably playing 8, maybe 9-iron for the kids who hit it a long way. Narrow green, big old deep bunker just short left. You actually don't want to go short or long. I mean, it really is a brute of a hole. You take 3 and run every day. However you make 3, just do it.
Eddie Pepperell chipped in 3 years ago at the last for that dramatic playoff victory against local lad Jack Hamlet and hasn't looked back since. His pro career has gone stratospheric. A birdie at 18 then puts him in the clubhouse as leader at 3 under, and it looks like Eddie is going to set the new mark in this final round, and that's the kind of shot this knowledgeable Nowcote crowd has come to see. Uphill, big break, left to right, Mason to go 4 under. Oh, he's done it. He's only done it. And Ashley Mason now the championship leader by 2 shots, but that might be reduced to just 1, depending on this putt from Eddie Pepperell. This to get into the clubhouse at 3 under, so this will make him clubhouse leader. And the 2014 champion has done it. A superb round of 50, and Eddie Pepperell sets a new mark in the clubhouse. Out on the course, Ashley Mason's control of the tournament was all too brief. He had this to go 5 under at 12 for a 2-shot lead, but it slid by. Then a par at 13 was followed by a bogey at 14, leaving Pepperell back in the hutch to ponder another potential playoff. Megan McLaren was only too happy to show Ashley how to make birdie at 12. A fantastic tee shot left her with that putt to go 3 under for a share of second place. Not a problem. McLaren making birdie number 4, followed by 4 straight pars to hit the 17th tee, just 1 shot off the lead. For Woosie, there was only pain though through the first 13 holes on the Cromwell and nowhere to hide with 5 drop shots and just 1 birdie. But playing partner Richard O'Hanlon, having lost the lead with those bogeys at 5 and 7, set about trying to repair the damage and showed some real resolve in the process. Battling tee shots at 11 and 12 got him the birdies he was chasing, once again giving him sole possession of the tournament lead at 4 under. Signs of a smile returning to O'Hanlon's face then. It's still all to play for at the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship.
Farmfoods British Par 3 coverage is sponsored by the Farmfoods European Senior Masters.
Welcome back to the closing stages of the Farmfoods British Par 3 Championship here at Nalcote Hall in the Midlands. We're all set for a cracking finish to this year's tournament, and Stephen Tiley has a chance to chip himself into contention. Oh, great effort, and that would have put him level with our clubhouse leader Eddie Pepperell on 3 under, but 2 under it will have to be for Stephen. Already at 3 under out on the course, Megan McLaren looking to become the first woman to claim this title, but she's got some work to do here at 17 to stay there. The dream is still alive. Back to the 15th tee now, and Ashley Mason's next hole with Tony Jacqueline's CBE.
It's like a lot of the holes out here, it's tricky. Jacqueline Falls, I fell there a few times, I have to say. It's a very difficult green, a 2-tier green, and when they put the pin at the back, it's really a no-go area, that. And if you pitch on that top part, it usually doesn't hit and stop, it usually hits and flies. So I've been in the cow field a few times there. It's a sandwich for a lot of these younger guys, but it'll get your attention, like a lot of the holes out here.
Now, I know it's not as good as it could have been today, but stood on the first tee on day one, if you'd offered Euro Pro Tour player Ashley Mason 1 shot off the lead with 4 to play, chasing 50,000 euros, I suspect he'd have taken it, and he will certainly take that. Great shot, and a chance to go back to 4 under for Mason. McLaren, not happy with her tee shot at 18, just gone right of the target. A chip in gives her the outright lead in the clubhouse, but 2 from there means a share of the lead with Eddie Pepperell at 3 under. And she's got a bit of work still to do if she's going to make sure she finishes on that number. It's all happening at 15 though. Mason with this pretty straightforward birdie opportunity to go to 4 under. O'Hanlon, who stood on the tee watching, has just bogeyed 14. Oh, it was a nervy putt. Mason will be the first to tell you that. But it means he goes to 4 under, and courtesy of O'Hanlon's bogey, Mason is heading to the 16th tee as the championship leader. How many more twists and turns in this fantastically entertaining final round? O'Hanlon, up there on the tee, has got to do it all again. He's back to where he started the day at 3 under. He's going to spin. And that's a terrific shot, not for the first time today. O'Hanlon showing some real character. And character is what McLaren needs right here to stay at 3 under. No. And her sensational challenge comes to an end with a bogey at the final hole. Well, it's a great round still, 2 under par, 52. It's a really good finish in this tournament, but I suspect right now that is scant consolation. Ashley Mason holding his nerve with a good tee shot at 16. He's got one hand on that Farmfoods British Par 3 trophy. And this next 30 minutes will be the biggest of his professional career. And he might have won it before, but the same can be said for this man. It's a massive putt for O'Hanlon at 15 to tie the lead at 4 under. Oh, and he's made it. And O'Hanlon is pumped up, heading for the 16th tee as co-leader. Well, Ashley Mason would have definitely heard the applause standing on the 16th green. He knows he's got to hold this. No, a bogey then at 16, a par at 17, and Ashley Mason heading to the 18th tee at 3 under in second place. For Richard, plenty to ponder, but a solid par at 16, leaving him as championship leader. Emotions running high. Who better than Jarmo Sandelin to lighten the mood? He's at O'Hanlon's next hole.
Jarmo, tell us all about number 8.
Number 8, it's a very challenging hole. It's called Torrance's Twins Oaks.
Sorry, to me.
Oh, sorry.
Should have said it's my fault.
I'm in love. I'm in love with the camera. Number 8 is a very challenging hole. It's called the Torrance's Twin Oaks. And if you're gonna have a good finish, you really, really need to get the best shot out of the bag. So if you go left, you're in the water where the sharks are. Or you go to the right, It's a tough chip, and if you're short, you're in the bunker. We all know how that can finish.
Well, it made me smile, but it's game face on for our tournament leader, Richard O'Hanlon. Tee shot then at Torrance's Twin Oaks, trying to stay away from jaws, and he does so, finishing right in the heart of the green. Good tee shot from him. Well, pin position on the final hole on the last day is always tough. It's on the thinnest part of the green, but Ashley Mason really left with no other choice than to go for it, and he has done. Oh, it's just kicked left on him, but Mark Moulan chipped in from there last year, so never say never. Ian Woosnam no longer in contention for the Farmfoods British Par 3 title, but he can tie Carl Mason for the Super Seniors title with a birdie down 17 or 18. This is a good shot. Oh, nearly an ace for the outright lead in the Super Seniors. Last hole, and Ashley Mason's support team hoping against hope that he can hole this one. He's decided to go with the putter from the fringe. This for 4 under and the clubhouse lead. It's a terrific effort from Ashley Mason, but a bit of work still to be done to stay at 3 under. I hesitate to call this a birdie chance for Richard O'Hanlon. This is a slippery putt with a massive break from right to left. Here it goes. Oh, it's in. What a time to find your A game. And O'Hanlon heads to the 18th tee with a 2-shot lead. Well, that's golf on the Cromwell course for you. 20 minutes ago, Ashley Mason was the leader of this tournament. Now he has this to stay in second. Well holed, young man. That was a massive putt for him. And it means he still gets a good paycheck. Also, it means he gets an automatic invite back to next year's tournament, courtesy of finishing top 4. It's a career performance from Ashley Mason. He's been here before, has Richard O'Hanlon, but in 2017 he's playing for a prize worth 10 times what he won back in 2010. And that's the first real sign of pressure we've seen from him all day, going right, and it's in the trap. Harvey, his caddy, still talking, trying to keep his man positive. And he's got plenty to be positive about. That lies way better than it could have been. But it's still the dreaded long bunker shot. Do we have yet another twist to this year's fascinating tournament story? Ashley Mason hopes so. The single biggest shot of Richard O'Hanlon's professional career. It's out, it's on its way, and it's fine. And he's got 2 putts from there for the title. And well done, Harvey. You've kept your man on the straight and narrow. Well, certainly Richard O'Hanlon would have liked this one a little bit closer, but the bare facts are it's up, it's in play, and the title is his to lose. The wise golfers will tell you if you've got 2, take 2, but the emotional ones will say this putt is for the title and 50,000 euros. It's there, and Richard O'Hanlon has done it in style. And for the second time in his career, he is crowned the Farmfoods British Par 3 champion. Congratulations to Megan McLaren, Andre Bossert, Stephen Tiley and Gary Wolstenholme on their top 4 finishes. Well done to Ashley Mason and Eddie Pepperell for making this final day such an enthralling tussle. But to the victor, the spoils. O'Hanlon has only gone and done it again. And so to the presentations. Michael Lowry claims the Norma Seaherd Silver Salver with a fantastic performance in the amateur division. That birdie at 17 for Ian Woosnam was enough to tie Carl Mason for the Super Seniors title, Carl's 5th consecutive win. But receiving the trophy, the winner's cheque and the traditional wheelbarrow full of cash from Tony Jacqueline's CBE and event sponsor Eric Hurd, this year's champion, Richard O'Hanlon.
Bit of a surreal feeling, but yeah, unbelievable.
And it's a life-changing amount of money for you.
Absolutely, you know, this goes back into my golfing career. You know, I've got 3 years now to go to the seniors top. That's what I want to do, so this basically just helps me security a little bit more playing golf.
And for now, you've got yourself a new nickname.
What's that?
Tin Cup.
Tin Cup, yeah. Driving range pro, unbelievable. It is. When you look at the field, it is ridiculous of tour players, Ryder Cup players, major winners. And I'm a club pro at a driving range. Yeah, it is. It is like a Tin Cup story, but you know, sometimes those stories come true.
For more information, go to britishpar3.com.
The Farmfoods British Par 3 coverage is sponsored by the Farmfoods European Senior Masters.